Hello everyone, which lets us do the same thing but the other way around. So Windows in Linux. So far I've installed Docker. Um, okay. So I have Docker installed and I've cloned the repo. What was the name? WinApps. So creating a Windows VM in Docker or Podman, important. Windows WinApps does not support versions of despite this. Okay, never mind. It is recommended not use sudo to first run commands. Okay. The IP tables kernel modules must be loaded for folder sharing with the host to work. Set the output of ls mode git. Okay. IP tables I don't really understand this. Okay, non-empty if the output of one of those previous okay, so turns out I have this IP tables running, so it should not be an issue. Docker engine installs a set of Docker container. WinApp utilizes Docker controls composed to configure Windows VMs. A template is provided prior to installing Windows. You can modify RAM number of CPU cores available to the Windows VM by changing RAM size CPU cores within compose.yml. It is also possible to specify the version of Windows you wish to install by modifying version. Please refer to original GitHub repository for more information on adding additional compose options. If you want to undo all the changes and start from scratch, for Podman, replace here with Podman compose installing Windows. Docker compose file up. Alright, then you can access Windows virtual machine via VNC connection to complete the Windows setup by navigating to okay, so VNC where I got. Let's just open this. Hey, here I'm compose.yml file container name it's port Windows RAM size RAM 4 gigs 4 GB okay, 6 GB din. CPU cores take 8 cores, doesn't really matter, and hard disk say password my Windows user, password is my Windows password. Okay, so यो वाला है इसमें अब हामीले docker compose dash file but okay, I do not understand this. You can initiate the Windows installation using this command. I did, but this is an unknown file. Docker किन रहेछ फेरि छुट्टै गर्नुपर्ने यो पनि बुझाएको छैन तर unable to get permission denied now okay, अब यो चाहिँ persistent बनाउनु पर्यो. I don't really know how this is done, so maybe I should permission denied. अब यो चाहिँ डकरकै यसमै थियो, so I'll copy it from here. Already exists And so okay, user mod ag docker using Linux virtual machine. It may be necessary to restart virtual machine for some time. Now, okay, now it works. The changes are persistent. Okay, error connection timed out to Microsoft server. Requesting Windows 11 from Microsoft servers. Huh. What is happening? Okay, so it's downloading Windows 11 and सबै installation हुन्छ होला via Docker, and so what do I really need in here मध्ये? Will I be using network failure, right? Is this working? Okay, it's installing. So for the meantime,
a lot of games, I would think you could. Then you will need a different launch until Steam decides that Windows 10 is too old to support it. That this can run that, and when it's finished, you can access the GUI of the virtual machine in your browser by going to localhost port 8006. You can also continue setting up your Windows machine from here in this web view, because this Docker file, it just installs Windows by default. It doesn't install Microsoft Office, Photoshop, or any of the other tools that WinApps is officially compatible with and that you would actually want to use this application for. So within this web view, you can set up those applications by signing into your Microsoft account with a paid Office 365 subscription, and I guess do the same thing with your Adobe account that has a paid subscription for Photoshop, After Effects, and all that jazz. Or, you could just run some sketchy PowerShell script and install some even sketchier ISOs that you found on a Russian torrenting site and just cross your fingers and hope that everything is going to be okay. At least your totally not pirated Adobe programs are going to be running in a virtual machine. And remember, if you're not allowed to own the software, then you can't actually steal it. And inside of this,
if you're not allowed to own the software, you can't actually steal it. What the hell? Okay, food for thought. 51%. Let's hear a song. Hey, we actually set up our Spotify. Let's hear Duality. I'm 100% sure it's gonna be copyrighted or some kind of strike, but I'm willing to take this chance.
It's the only thing, so it stops the ache, but it's made of all the things that they have to take. Jesus never ends, the voices way inside. If the pain is on and the
Well, it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby. Even you don't know by now. And it ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby. It'll never do somehow. When your rooster crows at the break of dawn, look out your window and I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm a traveling on. But don't think twice, it's alright. And it ain't no use in turning on your light, baby. The light I
Alright, so it is
never knowed. And it ain't no use in turning on your light, baby. I'm on the dark side of the road. But I wish there was something you would do or say to try and make me change my mind and stay. But we never did too much talking anyway. But don't think twice, it's alright. So it ain't no use in calling out my name, gal, like you never done before. And it ain't no use in calling out my name, gal, I can't hear you anymore. I'm a-thinking and a-wondering, walking down the road. I once loved a woman, a child I am told. I give her my heart, but she wanted my soul. But don't think twice, it's alright. So long, honey, baby, where I'm bound, I can't tell. Goodbye is too good a word, baby, so I just say fairly well. I ain't saying you treated me unkind. You could have done better, but I don't mind. You just kinda wasted my precious time. Don't think twice, it's alright.
falling in the snow, and I turn round and there you go. And Michael, you would fall and turn the white snow red as strawberries in summer.
Treat news outputs.
The door slammed loud and the nose of the cloud of dust on up. Footsteps follow down through the hollow sound, torn up. And you look up Nicholas with a vid.
कहाँ हो के हो यो कस्तो मेसो नपाएको मैले all of you यो छ but it's not there. Okay, now it's working. Okay, it's gonna take a few minutes to take so I'll let it be.
This Windows virtual machine, you can also copy and move files between it and your Linux host machine. So you can do that by going into your Explorer here and then going into the Network tab, and then you'll see this host LAN here. By default, it's sharing your entire home folder. So this is basically my entire home folder here, and I've got this 2 winapps folder that I'm able to copy data between my host machine and my guest machine. So anything that you copy those over. Connecting to a VM through your web browser is pretty cool. X-Free RDP has even less overhead than the browser, and it does window scaling a lot better. Plus, the WinApp scripts for launching different programs independently also depend on X-Free RDP. So make sure that you have that installed as well. And once your VM is all set up, once you've installed that you have that installed, also depend, you can obviously go back and reconfigure it later, programs you want. And once your VM is all set up, once you've installed the additional programs you want, and you can obviously go back and reconfigure it later. This is just the order that they lay out on their GitHub page. Once you have that set up, you should create a configuration file in your .config folder with these settings, and make sure that your RDP user and your RDP pass match the username and password that you set in that Docker config file or that compose.yaml file. And if you're using an ultra high resolution monitor, you might also want to change this RDP scale from 100 to 140 or possibly even 180. And because passwords are being hard-coded in this file here, it's also a good idea to set the file permissions so that the winapps.conf file can only be accessed by your user account. So go ahead and test your X-Free RDP connection by passing in your Windows username, the password, and the IP address that it's running on, as well as the cert that were in your winapps.conf file. And while you're testing Windows,
free RDP.
your options so go ahead and test your X-Free RDP connection by your user account. So go ahead and test your X. Free RDP connection by passing in your Windows username, the password, and the IP address that it's running on, as well as the cert that were in your winapps.conf file. And while you're testing Windows, description for Photoshop by going to localhost porting up your Windows. Installs Windows by default. It doesn't install Microsoft Office, Photoshop, or any of the other tools that WinApps is officially compatible with and that you would actually want to use this application for. So within this web view, you can set up those applications by signing into your Microsoft account with a paid Office 365 subscription, and I guess do the same thing with your Adobe account that has a paid subscription for Photoshop, After Effects, and all that jazz. Or, you could just run some sketchy PowerShell script and install some even sketchier ISOs. That's going to be okay. Virtual machine and feel it. And inside of this Windows virtual machine, you can also data and copy an X-Free RDP to it. Well, X-Free RDP has even less overhead than the browser and
उसको युजरनेम के छ यसमा तर यो सबै त डिफल्ट नै छ त इमेज यो भयो युजरनेम यो भइहाल्यो पासवर्ड यो भइहाल्यो अनि winapps कसरी थाहा हुन्छ
And it does window scaling a lot.
127.0
Better. Plus, the winapps scripts for launching different programs independently also depend on X-Free RDP. So make sure that you have that installed as well. And once your VM is all set up, once you've installed the additional programs you want, and you can obviously go back and reconfigure it later. This is just the order that they lay out on their GitHub page. Once you have that set up, you should create a configuration file in your .config folder with these settings, and make sure that your RDP user and your RDP pass match the username and password that you set in that Docker config file or that compose.yaml file. And if you're using an ultra high resolution monitor, you might also want to set the user in your Windows username, the password into conf file can only RDP connection on, as well as the cert that were in your winapps.conf file. And while you're testing Windows, you can also install even more applications from here if you never went ahead and installed them through that browser window that we were looking at earlier. There's actually a couple dozen Windows native, so if you add more applications later, you can always do that by rerunning the winapps installer. Winapps installer can be set up by run this automatically, but here in the README, they just have a command to curl and run this automatically. But go ahead and give this script a good look over first, just to at least avoid the habit of blindly running shell scripts that you randomly find on the internet. So go ahead and follow the prompts to install this script for the current user and select the manual method. And then in the officially supported apps, go ahead and select the ones that you've already installed to your system that you want to essentially create shortcuts to be able to launch from your application launcher on the Linux host machine. And if you're installing the officially supported versions like Photoshop and Illustrator 2022 or Office 365, they should show up here. Otherwise, they're going to be on the next page of other applications. And that's it. Now you can launch applications from your application launcher like any other app that you've installed on your Linux desktop. The virtual machine that Docker creates also mounts your Linux home folder automatically. I think I mentioned that, so you can save data to your Linux and pass data back and forth. You should also keep in mind that this is still going through a compatibility layer, so your mileage may vary in terms of performance. Usually the first time you launch a Windows application this way after rebooting, there could be, say, 20 seconds or so of delay waiting for the app to launch. It's sort of like if you've ever used WSL2 on Windows to launch a Linux application in a Windows environment. And this WinApps program is pretty much just like WSL2, but it's for Linux. So I guess you could think of it as a Linux subsystem for Windows. And the original author of this program even thought about calling it the Linux subsystem for Windows originally. Now it's also possible to run some really graphics heavy workloads like Photoshop or even Adobe Premiere, but this setup really isn't going to support gaming that well, and that's because of the immense lag that RDP is going to cause. Like, you're basically remote viewing a virtual machine, even though the virtual machine's running on your local computer, but it's just still significantly more input lag than if you were just running a game natively on Linux or if you were running that game natively on Windows. And even in Photoshop, for example, you can see that there is a noticeable delay between where it can only be accessed by your user account. So go ahead and test your X-Free RDP Connect apps that are big shell script here in the read.
Create a configuration file at you. Please हो तरीका है. Does not exist. Alright, I'm gonna copy all this stuff. No such file or directory. So config method cd winapps cd winapps nano winapps.conf. Okay, we made this. We are gonna say what's important your value foreigner RDP user and if you wish to use an alternative winapps backend or an Docker free RDP even चल रहा है. System manual. Theory permission denied rare. This process is a little bit more involved. I don't know के गरौँ के नगरौँ है log on error log on failed ring permanently activated tree. So now if I go on and open word, this is attempting to establish remote connection with Windows. You fail भयो अरे हैन. So what if I close this connection right now and त्यसपछि फेरि एकचोटि try गरे भने चाहिँ okay, maybe it will work. Fail हुन्छ. Fail भएन. Okay, nice. भइगयो यति हो. थाहा छ हामी थाहा छ. छैन क्या बुढा सन्यासी नै हो. Microsoft Word. Alright, this. So scaling बढाउनु पर्यो मैले चाहिँ. Okay. यो configuration कुन चाहिँ थियो? यो यसमै हो. winapps भन्नेमा छ यो चाहिँ. यो पनि winapps भन्नेमा छ. So cd.conf र config र winapps मा जानु र nano यो गऱ्यो भने चाहिँ RDP scale 100 अथवा 140 भन्दा छ हैन. So if we give it a scale of 140 अनि यो वर्डलाई चाहिँ यसपछि हामीले गर्यौं भने चाहिँ के हो त नि केही गरेको छैन मैले Okay, is this not what we need? This is lovely. Okay. What the fuck? Okay, alright. So it was spawning a new window, so that's the reason why it was ping pong. And game bar Microsoft Access. Word paint. Let's try to paint something.
Me, they just have.
अलिअलि छ Okay, I get it. So it does not work in this display at all. Okay. Alright. So there are some things that work. Right? All मैले चाहिँ Kerberos. यसमा चाहिँ When as the QA मौसम 98492 Central.
फलामले मात्र गर्दाखेरि टिटेनस हुन्छ भन्ने सोच्नुभएको छ भने तपाईँले ठुलो गल्ती गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ। अस्ति मलाई एउटा ल पढ्ने साथीले कल गरेर भन्यो अर्को हामी प्रोटेस्ट पछि सुप्रिम कोर्ट सफा गर्न गएको थिएँ, त्यतिखेर चाहिँ सफा गर्ने बेलामा शिक्षाले अलिअलि मेरो हात काटेको छ, के गर्ने होला टिटेनस सुलाउनु पर्छ कि नै भनेर भन्यो। यस्तोमा धेरैलाई लाग्न सक्छ फलाम होइन शिक्षा मात्र त हो, किन टिटेनस सुलाउनु पर्छ। सत्य कुरा के छ भने टिटेनस ब्याक्टेरियाबाट लाग्छ र त्यो ब्याक्टेरिया जेमा पनि हुनसक्छ, फलाममा हुनसक्छ, काठमा हुनसक्छ र माटोमा पनि हुनसक्छ। त्यो ब्याक्टेरिया घाउबाट भित्र छिर्यो भने तपाईँ टिटेनसको रिस्कमा पर्नुहुन्छ। फोटो पनि पठाएको थियो कि आफ्नो घाउको, अनि यताखेरि नभएरै काटेको थिएन, अनि सोद्धाखेरि त 3 दिन अगाडि काटेको थियो। डेन्जरस हुनसक्छ, टिटेनसको भ्याक्सिन काटेको सट्टा भने यदि सुई लगाइएन र ब्याक्टेरिया भित्र छिर्यो भने घातक हुनसक्छ। त्यसो भए जहिले काट्दाखेरि पनि सुईले भन्यो त त्यसको लागि भ्याक्सिन भन्यो। फलाम
अरू त त्यस्तै हो, तिमी चाहिँ कहाँनिर छन्क्यौ, कहाँ हरायो, कुन बुखार छिरे, अरू त त्यस्तै हो, तिमी चाहिँ कहाँनिर छन्क्यौ।
अब तपाईँ स्ट्रङ हुनुपर्छ, अब तपाईँ स्ट्रङ हुनुपर्छ।
बाबाले घन घोर पानी बोट्नु जान्छ त पानी आउनु त राख्नु सक्छ मार्दैन सक्छ होइन आधा तोइस आधा त्यसलाई के आएर मार्नमा राख्नु आधा हिँड्नु सक्छ के हो गाडो लाग्ने पर्छ
अब यो दसैँमा होन्डा एसपी 125 किने सोध्नुहुने प्रश्नहरूको जवाफ दिनेछौँ र आशा गर्छौँ कि तपाईँलाई होन्डा एसपी 125 को बारेमा रहेको कुनै पनि जिज्ञासा केही हदसम्म क्लियर हुनेछ। अहिले हालजारी दसैँ अफरमा एसपी 125 किन्दा के पाइन्छ? Because when you play your wing condition in the bag, your opponent has two options. The first one is to punish you and attack in the opposite way. This will obviously lead to you defending his attack, but since you played your part in the bag, the defensive cards you played will cycle to your next hog rider, so you have it in hand. Now that your first hog reached the bridge, they will have to use their building on it. But hey, remember how you cycled to another one? Now you can play it right on the bridge, and no amount of cheat cards will get him back to the second cannon this quickly, because there is no time. So you're more likely to get the hog hit this quick. The second option they have when you play your wing condition in the back.
spent so much time roaming around Chernobyl and even swimming in radioactive water, they, his teammates, decided to check it out. Chikala felt like his radiation levels were way beyond safe limits, so the team headed to a hospital for a cover check. They arrived at a clinic specialized in measuring radiation exposure. The staff had everyone fill out personal information forms honestly. First up was their cameraman, who got scanned by the doctor. Next, the long-haired guy went through the same process. Then it was Chikala's turn. He sat on the couch while the doctor tested his body for radiation. The doctor explained that their radiation levels were seriously
1000 रुपियाँ तिरे बापतको छुट्यो क्या 10,000 रुपियाँ तिरेर कसैको ज्यान मारे बापतको किन भन्दा उनीहरूले आफैले रक्सी खाएर गाडी कुदाएको हो नि त उनीहरूले त्यो रक्सी खाएर गाडी नकुदाउन सक्ने थियो हैन त्यति गरे बापत 10,000 रुपियाँ तिरेर उनीहरू बाहिर निक्ल्यो क्या पावर भएको मान्छेले त्यति गर्दाखेरि 10,000 दिँदाखेरि कोही मान्छेको ज्यान मारेर पनि एकदम हाँसेर पडकास्टमा गएर हाँसेर हामी त गाडीभित्र मिलाइराखेको थियो भन्न पनि मिल्ने रहेछ यस्तो देशमा छौँ क्या हामी यस्तो देशमा छौँ पावर छ भने सक्यो मेरो त अब बाउको मेरो ब्यागमा बाउको हात छैन नि त म
have a command to curl and run this automatically, but go ahead and give this script a good look over first.
Yeah, यो सबै आयो मलाई अलिक ठिक लाग्ने चाहिँ Okay, I'm gonna reboot and let's try this out. Current user नै गरिदिउँ manual अनि योसँग establish पनि गर्नुपर्ने हो from what I know. Okay, it's gonna be done. यो okay हो यति भएपछि okay, something's working. System मा राखौं password हानौं okay so it needs to be uninstalled as of like right now uninstall भयो अब install गरौं system मा फेरि भएन okay so for this user भनेर रहेछ हैन त uninstall गरौँ for this current user okay अनि okay user का लागि नै गरौँ install पनि manual let's do manual installation Skip setting off. Laser. Okay. So I might need axle. के ले सेलेक्ट गर्ने ले